all around you. Today on Coach's Corner. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm so happy you're here. My name's Robert Imbriali. I'm your host for today and every day in Coach's Corner. I'm going to let you know that we're going to very shortly be bringing on guests as well, so you don't have to have just me when it comes to these broadcasts or these episodes. Today, I wanted to talk about a lot of things that are going on right now. There's just so much stuff going on in our society. The past few weeks, I don't know if you've probably have paid attention to it, things have been kind of escalating, right? The uncertainty has certainly been escalating. And if you're looking at the convoy that's happening in Canada and the convergence that is expected to happen this weekend, there's a lot of unknowns. And I've been speaking with a lot of people over the course of the weeks and months that I've been doing this. Probably now, almost 2 years, but really over the past 2 weeks, it's really accelerated. Where there's a lot more uncertainty. There's a lot more people wondering, what in the world they should be doing, what should they be thinking about, where should they be focused on. And one of the biggest challenges that I think we're running into, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it today, because obviously I've been coaching now since 1995. It's my passion to coach. I coach everyone, by the way. Whether I'm doing it for money or not doing it for money, I always have the coaching hat on. It's not possible really to take it off. And I hear a lot of people talking, like if I'm in the store or in a restaurant or hanging out with friends, I hear what people are talking about. I hear what they're feeling, what they're experiencing. And it's one of those things where there's a lot of challenges going on for them, and life is not smooth. And I was telling a couple of friends earlier this week, I said, expect this week to be a little off kilter, right? Things are just not going to flow the way we expect them to flow. And in fact, they may be a little bumpier than you'd expect them to be. So if projects don't get done, if things aren't flowing, just realize that there's bigger stuff happening right now than you and I have control over. However, there are some things that we can control, some things that we can do to kind of maintain a more even keel. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but a more even keel in the face of all this chaos that we're experiencing. The uncertainty, I think, is the biggest thing that throws us. I see it here often in California after an earthquake. And, you and I, we wake up in the morning, we jump out of bed, and bam, our feet land on the ground, right? And we know that ground's going to be there. It's going to support us. It's going to be solid. But what happens when it starts to shake, right? All of a sudden, that feeling of certainty is shaken. And it's happening now, not just with the ground we stand on. We haven't had earthquakes here in a while, so that's nice. But it's been happening with all kinds of things. And I think people have really gotten afraid to speak to one another, and there's a lot of division in our society, right? There's so many different arguments, and you could be on one side or the other. And I think we've finally gotten to a point now where you could look at it and you could say, well, you're going to be on one side, you're going to be on the other side, and there's very little chance that you're going to convince anyone to switch sides at this point. In the absence of something big happening, right? A big event will usually cause people to change their opinions, change their belief systems, and they may switch sides. So in the absence of that, people aren't really going to switch sides. They are where they are, and they're going to continue to be where they are. So really having these arguments with them is kind of fruitless, right? Kind of pointless. And yet we're seeing it. It's like the ultimate division, if you will. And we're having this division at all levels of society. In the past, it was, okay, they argue up in Congress. Who cares, right? It's up there. It's up in politics. Who cares? But what happened is the arguments are now personal. They're within family members, the brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters and sons. And it's just like the division is just cutting across every barrier, every line that we've, kind of like the family was like protected, right? We all kind of believe the same thing in the family. We don't argue. Well, now families are breaking up and people are getting divorced over this stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about that and give you some ideas what you can do to not be so afflicted by this, because it's challenging. I mean, it really is one of those things that are really difficult to see when families are battling each other and things aren't going well. And so I want to talk about that. That's really part of this program today. And, I'm calling this one, you could laugh at this, but I'm calling it the clash of beliefs, right? Because I think really, in many respects, that's exactly probably the best way to put it, is a clash of beliefs. I have my belief systems, you have your belief systems, and I'm not changing, you're not changing, and all we can do is battle. Or maybe there's another way, right? That's what's happening right now as we're battling and running into this stuff, by the way, not just here, but also, with strangers, which is really odd. I've never argued with strangers. Rarely do you ever get into a tussle with strangers, but it seems to be happening more and more now. And that's not who I am. It's not what I do, but it's fascinating to see how, and I really think there's a point where people are just frustrated, they're angry, and it's like each side believes, if you believe what I believe and you believe what I believe, then this ends. This ends if you believe it. This ends if you believe it. And then we go back and forth with it. And the reality is it ends when all of us just say no. It doesn't end, one way or another. It ends when all of us just say no more. We're done with it. We want something else. So, we're trying to convince each other to be on our side and get off your side. You're wrong. Get off your side. You're wrong. And it really doesn't work. So there's something called closely held beliefs. Now, this is really fascinating if you're thinking about why is it so challenging. Well, closely held beliefs are those beliefs which become unquestioned. And I think, like I've said earlier here, that many people today, you're not going to change their minds. They are where they are. If nothing big happens, if everything just goes along as it is, people are going to be where they are. They're going to believe what it is they believe. And, that's fine for them. They're not going to change their minds. Closely held beliefs become part of our identity. And when they become part of our identity, they're very hard to shake. Right? We got them, this is what I believe, this is what I'm standing for. And, in the absence of something major happening that changes it, those things don't change. And we're just going to stay where we are with that belief, and we're going to hang on to it and hang on to it for dear life. And that's why I say right now, it's like the division is so wide. In the past, if we had arguments, we were closer together. There's enough crossover, we can have conversations, but the gap has really grown, and it's grown, and it's grown. And it's really to the point where people really believe it's life or death. You either believe what I believe or we're all going to die. I mean, that's really where it's at. So how can you have a conversation? You probably can't. So how do you deal with it? You've got family members, you've got people in your family members that, believe something you don't believe, or you believe something they don't believe, and they want you over their court, and it just ends up in conflict all the time, especially over, family dinner, right? It's just really difficult. So my question to you is, how do you get them to change their minds? Can you get them to change their minds? And the answer there is probably not. Well, maybe, but probably not. More often than not, it's not going to happen. So you need to be in a position where you accept them for who they are. You accept them for what they believe. Remember, their beliefs come from the things that they were exposed to. We talked about it in the last podcast, right? Their beliefs come from their environment, the people they hang out with, the media that they're exposed to. Very interesting. Today you can actually tell by the way people are speaking and what they're believing. You can almost tell down to the channel and even to the show what shows and channels people are tuned into, right? Because they all have their narratives. And you can almost tell, where they're getting their information from. So you're going to be able to change your minds? Unlikely. So would you continue to end up with these clashes, right? No. What I say is stay centered. Now, this is really hard to do because if you looked at this week, if you looked at last week, and I expect this to go even a little bit more unstable, unsettled as the weeks go ahead, it's hard. And it's really difficult to look at it and say, hey, things are going to be okay. Well, things could be okay. We got to keep focusing on that. We got to keep looking at there. But it's challenging from the perspective of how do you stay centered in all of it when everything's kind of pushing you off center? So I always go back to habit. Right? Habit is what keeps us centered, keeps us grounded, keeps us feeling secure. And I say, try as much as you can to have the same daily habits so they don't change too dramatically, right? So you wake up in the morning, wake up at the same time, don't change it. If you have this for breakfast, and this is your favorite breakfast, and that's your favorite breakfast, you have coffee, whatever it is you do in the morning, keep that morning routine as same as you possibly can every day. It's difficult when it's changing. You know that because if you go travel somewhere for business or pleasure or whatnot, your routine's all messed up, right? It's a little bit harder to feel like, I feel less confident now because everything's messed up. So try to keep that as good as you can. Now, how about media? How much of it do you want to consume every day? I would say consume only what's necessary and stay off of mainstream because you're not going to get, the truth there. You're going to get more of the same of the propaganda, which we don't want. So I want you to dig, and I want you to find the right answers that work for you, the ones that you believe. You don't have to believe what I believe, but I want you to find the ones that you believe, that you can stand strong in, and you can say, this is absolutely the fact for me. This is how I believe this story. This is what I believe to be true about it, and I want you to stay there. And, I don't want you not to listen to anything else. You can listen to it, and consider it. And if it doesn't match, it doesn't line up, it's okay. Just let it go. It's fine. And what I would say to you is just keep going and stay centered as much as you possibly can. It's not easy in this time. I get it. But keep things in your life as the same as you possibly can. And that'll help a lot to keeping you centered and keeping you strong as we go forward here. Okay, next one on the list here. If you're in a conversation with somebody who is not agreeing with you, they're on the other side, then what I would say is change the subject. Change the subject with them. Go in a different location and change the subject. You don't have to be, with them and talking about a subject that they're not agreeing with. Go ahead and change the subject. Talk about the weather, right? It's my classic one. Okay, we're just going to talk about the weather today because nothing else matters, and that's what we're going to go and do. And I would say that makes the most sense. If you don't want to get into a clash with people, do that. Makes your life easier. We're all going back to trying to be, calm, trying to be centered, trying to be stable through it all, and getting into arguments with loved ones, not going to help, right? So let them find their own way. Sometimes I look at that and I say, well, I could coach them, I could help somebody, but is it really my place to do that? Or do I really want to let them learn whatever lesson they need to learn? I want them to learn that lesson without me jumping in, without me stepping up and saying anything. And sometimes that's the right answer, is just to let them figure it out on their own. Trust that they will at some point figure it out, and be there for them when they crash, because eventually they will crash. If they're not figuring it out yet, they probably will end up at a point where they're going to be crying for help. That's your moment. That's when you step in. That's when I step in as a coach. When people are really, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm confused. I'm lost. I'm hurting. I'm sad. I'm depressed. Well, that's when I step in and I can get them back on track. But when they're really firm in their beliefs and they're strong and they're argumentative, there's no entrance there. The door's not open. So don't even try. I know people do try and they end up in these shouting matches. You're not helping anyone, right? So what I want you to do is just forget about that. That's not the approach that you want to take. Change the subject. Easiest thing to do, change the subject. You got that? Change it. Going to be better for everyone. Okay. If that doesn't work, what's your next plan of attack? Walk away. Yeah, walk away. I've done this, in the past 2 years, I've done this quite a few times. And it sounds, why would you do that? Why would you walk away from someone? Well, if you can't get through, if they won't let you change the subject, sometimes they won't. They want to be on there. They want to be in the argument, and they won't let you break away and change that subject. You got to walk away from it. There's no point sometimes in knowing you're not going to change somebody's mind. So why would you want to get into a confrontation or argument with them, or disagreement, or a heated argument, or a heated discussion, however you want to put it? Sometimes it's just best to walk away. Great. See you tomorrow. Got to go. Someone's calling. I got an appointment. Got to run. Whatever it is. And it's okay to do that. I think in this society, especially what's going on right now, it's not disrespectful. You've got something else going on. Go do it. And, get away from that, because it's not going to benefit either of you to have this argument. Look, neither one of you are changing your minds, right? If you're opposite sides of this, you're not changing your mind. They're not changing their mind. What's the point of the argument? No point. Until something happens, there's an event that happens, and there's a pathway in, it's not going to happen. So don't do it. Not worth it. Okay? So this is some strategies you can use, some things you can use to help. And what I really want is I want you to be able to maintain your strength through all this. I want you to maintain your calm. I want you to feel centered, in the face of everything that's going on. Last thing you need is to be battling with the people you're closest to, right? You need those people as allies, not adversaries. And it's real important to have that, especially when things get more challenging, which I suspect they will over the next couple of weeks. I think we're going to see some rather big changes. I think things are going to be happening that probably are going to be unpleasant, but I really do believe on the other side of this, everything will eventually come back to a more normal cadence, and we'll be used to, calmness again. I don't think we're going back to 2019. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it'll be different. I hate to say new normal, but everyone's been saying that for years now. I don't really want to say that, but it'll be a different normal. It'll be a normal that we'll recreate the normal and create something fresh and different for us. And we'll be able to move forward that way. Okay. I have a gift for you people who are watching. If you're in business and you want a little help from me, I would love to help you. I want you to go to crushit22.com/gifts, and you can sign up for a free 44-minute coaching session, strategy session, I call it. No charge. and you'll be able to work with me. We'll get on a Zoom call together and I'll talk about your business. You'll tell me where your challenges are. I'll give you some guidance, some suggestions that you can use, some things you can get started on right now, and we'll see how to move you to the next step in your business and move past those barriers, those blocks, those things that are keeping you from having the kind of success that you'd love to have. All right. I want to thank you for joining me today. This has been fun. I look forward to seeing you again next week. If this video has been valuable, if you found some use in it, if it's been helped you in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate you sharing it with your friends, your followers. Let other people know that it's here, it's available, and you'll be helping me as well, and help also getting the word out, help society as a whole. That's really what my goal is in doing these. And the more we can help people, the more better society is going to be for all of us to live in. It's going to be calmer and happier, and that's really what we're looking for. So thanks again for watching. Look forward to doing this again next week. We'll see you soon.